The movie begins with a single mother named Janaya, who's in her rundown apartment, caring for her frequently ill daughter, Arya. The morning begins with tension as Arya expresses frustration over her inability to bathe herself due to her condition and reveals that her teacher told the class Janaya can't afford her lunch, adding to her mother's distress. Despite this, Janaya tries to stay focused, preparing to head to work while juggling her responsibilities. As she leaves, Janaya gives change to a neighbor in a wheelchair, a small act of kindness that angers her landlord. She confronts her, threatening eviction unless she pays the overdue rent by 10 a.m., piling on financial pressure. After dropping Arya off at school, Janaya heads to her job at a grocery store. There, the day worsens when a customer, upset that Janaya won't accept a WIC card for non-eligible items, throws a bottle at her. Her unsympathetic boss orders her to clean up the mess, showing little concern for her well-being. While in the back of the store, Janaya receives a devastating call. Arya has been injured during a seizure in the bathtub at school, escalating her panic. Her boss refuses to give her a real break. He tells her if she's gone longer than 30 minutes, she shouldn't bother coming back. The tension builds as she races to the school. There, she finds Child Protective Services waiting. They claim Arya has unexplained bruises and tell her that she'll be taken into protective custody. Janaya pleads with them, insisting the marks are from a seizure, but her explanations fall on deaf ears. Leaving the school, emotionally shattered, she ends up in a confrontation with an off-duty police officer after a traffic mistake. He follows her, confronts her, and becomes verbally aggressive. When he checks her license, he finds it expired. Her car is towed on the spot. Janaya's sense of control slips further with every passing minute. She returns to the grocery store well past her 30-minute limit. Her boss fires her on the spot and refuses to give her the check she's earned, telling her it'll be mailed. Soaked from the rain, humiliated, and now jobless, she walks back home hoping for a moment of relief, only to find her apartment has been cleared out. Her belongings are scattered across the wet sidewalk. Her daughter's medication, clothes, and toys are all exposed to the weather. She has officially been evicted. Later, desperate and exhausted, Janaya returns to her old job at the supermarket. The same manager who fired her refuses to give her the paycheck she earned. She pleads with him, explaining how badly she needs the money for her daughter's medication, but he waves her off like she's a problem he's already solved. Just as she's trying to keep herself composed, two masked men storm into the office. Guns drawn, one robber demands the cash from the safe. The robber notices Arya's backpack and tries to snatch it, thinking it might be hiding something valuable. Janaya pleads with him to stop. Her daughter's medication is in that bag, but he doesn't listen. A struggle follows, and Janaya wrestles the gun from his hands, and in the panic, the gun goes off, and the robber dies. Instead of helping or understanding, her old boss immediately calls the police. In a panicked voice, he tells the dispatcher that Janaya was involved with the robbery. To him, she's just a disgruntled former employee with a motive. Janaya's world caves in, everything she was holding together by sheer force of will unravels. Her old boss berates her, blames her, and adds insult to trauma. Something snaps, and Janaya kills him. She finds her paycheck, and rushes to the nearest bank. At the counter, she hands the teller her check and asks to withdraw the money. The teller hesitates. Without ID, they can't process the withdrawal. Janaya tells her she lost it and begs for an exception, telling her that she's a regular. The teller repeats the policy like a machine. That's when Janaya, overwhelmed and pushed beyond reason, pulls out the gun. She tells the teller she's not a criminal, she just wants the money that's hers. The teller panics. She begins handing over money, far more than the check amount. Janaya refuses it all, repeating that she only wants what she's owed. Meanwhile, the bank manager, Nicole, sees the panic from her office. She checks the alert from her security system and sees the flagged robbery in progress. The phone rings and it's the police, asking for confirmation. Nicole, still shaken, tells them yes. She sees a suspicious-looking toy in her bag, and tells the police that it's a bomb. Outside, sirens wail, and police units arrive. Elsewhere, Detective Raymond arrives at the crime scene. She's calm but sharp, a veteran with a gut instinct. As she gathers information from witnesses, she starts feeling something isn't right. Janaya doesn't fit the profile of a criminal, this just feels different. Inside, Janaya calls Nicole to help her access her money. Nicole walks cautiously to the counter and speaks to her with care. Janaya is still shaking. Nicole, sensing the human being behind the fear, offers to help. Suddenly, two frightened customers escape and run out the bank. They tell the police that Janaya is armed and dangerous. News cameras roll, and a local channel interrupts programming with breaking footage. Janaya sees her face on the screen, labeled bank robber. She panics, as this was never supposed to happen. A bomb squad arrives after Nicole's earlier report about the toy. Detective Raymond, seeing how fast things are moving, asks her superior, Chief Wilson, to give her a chance to talk to Janiyah. She's convinced it's not what it seems. Raymond calls, and asks Janiyah if everyone inside is okay. Janiyah says yes, no one is a hostage, no one's been harmed. Raymond gently explains how it all looks from the outside. Janiyah tries to explain that it's all a huge misunderstanding, but her voice cracks. She says she only needs money for her daughter to eat. That's all this was ever about. She begins to sob, telling herself that she can't go to jail. She needs to be there when Arya gets home from school. Everyone in the bank hears this and the room softens. After the call ends, Nicole fulfills her promise. She hands Janiyah the money from her paycheck. Janiyah counts out $40 and hands it back to Nicole, asking her to make sure Arya gets it. At that moment, she sees the same police officer who harassed her earlier, and who promised that he would kill her the next time he would see her. One of the tellers starts recording. She sends the live footage out on social media. Meanwhile, police get the same feed from the bank's security cameras. Everyone sees the blinking toy in Arya's backpack. Janiyah sees everyone looking at the bag, visibly terrified. But it's not a bomb. It's Arya's toy, a sensory device to help her cope with seizures. Janiyah switches it off, and everyone sighs in relief. Later, the phone rings again, and Janiyah picks up. On the other end, Detective Raymond's voice returns and asks how everyone is holding up inside. Janiyah tells Raymond that no one is hurt. That this is just a terrible misunderstanding. Telling her that she's lived her whole life righteously, even when life knocked her down. She's been poor, but she never stole. She just wanted to feed her daughter, that's all this ever was. Raymond listens without interrupting. Then she gently reminds her that the situation can't go on like this. She needs to surrender. But Janiyah refuses. She explains that one of the officers outside threatened to kill her earlier. She can't trust that she'll even make it out alive. Raymond asks which officer, and Janiyah gives a description. Without hesitation, Raymond promises to find him and get him off the scene, but Janiyah pushes for more. She needs proof. She's been ignored too many times before. She won't hand herself over until she sees that he's gone. Meanwhile, outside, the public is watching all of this unfold in real time. The story of the day has shifted. This isn't a criminal holding people hostage, this is a mother unraveling under the pressure of survival. People begin to gather around the bank, chanting, "Free Janiyah." Back inside, Raymond stays on the call. She tells Janiyah that she understands, not just professionally, but personally. She opens up, and tells her that she was raised by a single mom too. A woman who scrubbed floors and stocked shelves and skipped meals so her daughter could eat. She tells her she knows how lonely it feels. How hard it is to always be strong. Janiyah starts to lower her walls. For the first time, she's not just surviving, she's being heard. She tells Raymond she'll come out, but only when that officer is removed. As that conversation ends, Nicole notices Janiyah rubbing her arms, cold and overwhelmed. She offers her jacket from her office. Janiyah agrees to go with her, and they step into the back. Nicole grabs the jacket, but Janiyah stops when she sees a framed photo on Nicole's desk. Her husband, and her 2 healthy kids. A life that looks stable and happy. So different from her own. Janiyah stares at it for a moment too long. Nicole tries to pull the moment away, reminding her that she still has a choice. That she can walk out of this, still be a mother and still live. But Janiyah tells her it's not that simple. The police think she's a killer, a bank robber and a threat. Her life won't just bounce back, she knows she's going to prison. Then, she turns to Nicole and asks her to look after Arya, telling her that her daughter is sweet, kind, and never a problem. She just needs someone who will love her while she'll be gone. Nicole's heart breaks, but she promises. Just then, one of the elderly hostages begins to groan and shake. Janiyah rushes to her side and realizes the woman is diabetic. Without thinking, she asks Nicole to take her outside so she can get medical attention. Nicole nods and walks her out, handing her over to the officers. Suddenly, the phone rings again, and this time, it's not Raymond. It's someone from the FBI. The officer tells her that from this point on, he'll be handling all communication. Janiyah's mood snaps. She pleads to speak with Detective Raymond, but the agent refuses. He tells her it's out of the detective's hands now. At that exact moment, the toy in her daughter's backpack begins to beep again. Panic ripples through the hostages, but Janiyah rushes over, pulls it from the bag, and quickly switches it off. She explains that it's not a bomb. It's just a school science project her daughter built. Everyone exhales. But Janiyah, realizing that everyone believed it was a bomb, starts to panic again. She begs Nicole to call the police and tell them the truth. But Nicole hesitates. She knows the only reason the police haven't stormed in is because they think she has something more dangerous than a gun. That toy, that little invention, is the only leverage Janiyah has left. Elsewhere in the bank, one of the tellers quietly slips into the bathroom and writes on the foggy window, warning the police outside that the bomb isn't real. Outside, Detective Raymond finally tracks down the officer who earlier pulled Janiyah over and towed her car. She walks straight up to him and punches him across the face in front of Chief Wilson. She demands that he should be removed from the scene. Chief Wilson agrees and sends him away. Later, Raymond calls Janiyah again, telling her the officer is gone. Now, she asks Janiyah to do the same, release the hostages. Janiyah agrees. She lets the two bank tellers go. But Nicole doesn't leave. Instead, she turns to Janiyah and tells her she wants to walk out with her. Janiyah is stunned. No one has ever stood beside her before. She looks at Nicole and simply thanks her. A few seconds later, her phone rings again, and this time, it's her mother. She asks why is she holding a bank hostage. Janiyah tries to explain, telling her that she just wanted to get money to give Arya food for school. Then her mother says something that collapses the ground under her. She tells her that Arya died at the hospital last night. Janiyah freezes, and everything slows. Tears pour from her eyes as the truth floods in. Her daughter, who she's been talking to, fighting for and carrying medicine for, was never there. She was hallucinating. Nicole reaches her hands out to her, telling her that she'll support her grief. But they need to walk out, and they do. Detective Raymond meets them at the door, and puts handcuffs on Janiyah. The crowd outside erupts, not in anger, but in love. They chant Janiyah's name, over and over, as she's led away. A woman the world saw as a threat just hours ago is now seen for who she really is, a grieving mother, broken but brave, just trying to survive in a world that kept closing its doors. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe for more notifications. Until next time. See you soon.